How many years have you given away to people who never noticed? How many times have you stayed silent, waiting for fairness that never came? You wake up, work, obey, and call it purpose. But deep down, you know it's fear wearing a mask. You've built your life around rules written by those who never intended for you to win. They told you to be kind, to play fair, to be patient. But look around, do the kind rule the world? Do the patient write history? No, the loud are celebrated and the quiet are forgotten. You've spent a lifetime trying to be good, and all it got you was exhaustion, applause that fades, respect that vanishes, promises that rot. But here's the truth. No one wants to face. The system isn't broken. It's working exactly as designed to keep you obedient while the ruthless rise. The moment you stop believing in fairness, you begin to see clearly. You see how power moves quietly, strategically, without apology. You see that control, not effort, shapes destiny. You didn't fail the world. The world failed you because you believed it was honest. This isn't the end. It's the beginning of something dangerous: awareness. And once you awaken, you can never go back. Every awakening begins with a fall. Fall bravely, because the ground you hit is reality, and from there you can rise. If this truth burns a little but feels real, stay. Subscribe now and let's unlearn the lies together. Because from this moment on, you don't chase fairness. You learn how power actually works. Have you ever heard a voice that wasn't yours? One that asked, "Why do you keep waiting for permission?" Have you ever felt that silent pull inside you, whispering that you were meant for more? But you buried it because it scared you. You call it doubt. You call it anxiety. But it isn't. It's the truth knocking. You've spent years listening to everyone but yourself. Parents told you to be humble. Bosses told you to stay loyal. Society told you to follow the rules. And somewhere along the way, you forgot the sound of your own voice. Then one night, it returns. A voice that doesn't comfort, it confronts. It doesn't say you're good enough. It says you've been asleep. It doesn't promise happiness. It promises clarity. That's when you meet the stranger. Not in the world, but in the mirror. He doesn't speak softly. He doesn't flatter you. He tells you the ugly truth that the life you've built was never yours. It was borrowed from expectation. And the strangest thing, you recognize him. Because he's always been you. The part of you that refused to bow. You realize awakening isn't about becoming someone new. It's about remembering who you were before the world told you who to be. The voice inside you is not madness. It's memory. The world trains you to silence it, but that's how they keep you tame. Listen to it now and everything changes. If these words hit a nerve, it's because they were meant for you. Subscribe, stay awake, and let's rebuild the power they tried to erase. Why do you crave to be seen? Why do you measure your worth by how many eyes are watching you? How many likes? How many claps? How many nods of approval? You tell yourself it's validation, but deep down, it's addiction. The addiction to being noticed. And the cruel part, the moment they stop looking, you stop existing. They told you visibility is success, that if you're loud enough, busy enough, online enough, you matter. But look closer. The people who truly control the world rarely post. They move in silence. They operate in shadows. They are the names behind the names, and that's exactly why they never fall. The more you show, the more they can attack. The more you reveal, the easier you are to control. You thought exposure was power, but it's actually surrender. Because the crowd can only worship what it can see and destroy what it envies. Here's the truth they'll never tell you. The invisible don't compete, they dictate. They don't beg for recognition, they decide who gets it. Real power doesn't stand on stage. It pulls the strings behind the curtain. You don't need to be seen to matter. You need to be unreachable. Disappear strategically. Withdraw your noise. Let them wonder where you went while everything still moves by your hand. Because the moment you step out of the spotlight, you stop dancing for them and start conducting the music yourself. If you're tired of performing for approval, this message is for you. Subscribe and learn how to rule from the shadows. When was the last time you were truly alone with your own thoughts? No phone, no music, no scrolling, just silence. You can't remember, can you? because they've trained you to be afraid of stillness. Your mind is no longer yours, it's a battlefield. Every notification is a soldier fighting for your attention, and every click, every scroll, every second you give away makes someone else richer. You think you're consuming content, but the truth is, content is consuming you. They don't sell products anymore, they sell your focus. You are not the customer, you are the product. You wake up and reach for your phone before you reach for your soul. You scroll past strangers' highlight reels and call it connection. And while you chase dopamine, someone out there is engineering your addiction. The rich don't fight for attention, they own the platforms that fight for it. The poor chase visibility. The powerful control visibility. That's the real divide, not money, but mental freedom. If they can keep you distracted, they never need to control you directly. You'll enslave yourself willingly, quietly, endlessly. But the moment you reclaim your attention, you reclaim your life. Focus is the last currency of freedom. Guard it like your breath. Stop letting algorithms write your destiny. Withdraw from the noise, sharpen your awareness, and watch how your world starts to obey you instead of own you. If these words sting, it's because you've felt it, the silent exhaustion of being everywhere but nowhere. Subscribe and let's take your attention back one thought at a time. Why do people only respect you when they need something? Why do they vanish the moment you stop saying yes? You keep giving kindness, hoping it'll come back. But kindness in this world has an expiration date, and you already know it. You've learned that the more you give, the less they value you. And yet you keep doing it because you've been told that being good makes you worthy. But here's the painful truth. People don't follow goodness, they follow gravity. They orbit what they fear losing. And that means the ones who command respect aren't always the kindest. They're the ones who draw boundaries sharp enough to cut through manipulation. You've tried to win loyalty with generosity, but all it ever got you was quiet betrayal. They don't love you for your sacrifices. They expect them. Because love fades when comfort sets in, but fear endures. Fear isn't cruelty, it's consequence. When people know there's a line they can't cross, they finally respect the space you own. And that space, that control, becomes your shield. You can't be everyone's savior. You were never meant to be. Respect doesn't come from endless giving, it comes from measured distance. The lion isn't feared because it roars. It's feared because it can. So stop begging to be liked. Be understood. Be respected. Be untouchable. Because fear protects what love forgets. If this hit you where it hurts, it's because you've lived it. Subscribe now and learn the art of power that never has to shout, only stand its ground. Have you ever lost an argument, even when you were right? Have you ever poured out logic, reason, and proof only to watch someone choose emotion over truth? You stood there, stunned, wondering, how can they not see it? But here's the secret. No one teaches you. People don't follow facts, they follow feelings. And that's why the world is ruled not by the smartest, but by the ones who make others feel the most. You've tried to be rational, calm, fair. You've believed that truth defends itself, but the truth without emotion is invisible. And emotion, even without truth, is magnetic. Every ad you see, every politician you trust, every movement you join, none of them persuade with data. They seduce with emotion, fear, hope, belonging, anger. They wrap their lies in feelings so familiar you stop questioning and start obeying. You thought being logical made you strong, but logic only wins debates. Emotion wins empires. Here's the Machiavellian truth. You don't need to abandon logic, you need to weaponize emotion. Speak to the heart and the mind will follow. Don't waste time trying to convince people to think. Make them feel. Because the moment emotion enters, reason exits and persuasion begins. Mastering emotion isn't manipulation, it's survival. You can't lead minds until you move hearts, so stop trying to be the smartest person in the room. Be the one who makes silence tremble. If this resonates, it's because you've been ignored too long for being too rational. Subscribe and learn how to turn your words into gravity, not just noise. How many people know your name, but would vanish the second you fall? How many friends have you entertained, supported, defended, only to realize none of them would bleed for you. You've surrounded yourself with noise likes, followers, acquaintances, and called it connection, but deep down, you know the truth. Most of them only show up when it benefits them. You don't have a network, you have an audience, and an audience applauds until the show ends. You were told to build bridges, to be open, to trust everyone. But bridges are easy to burn. What you needed wasn't a crowd. It was a circle, small, tight, loyal, strategic. The powerful don't seek to be loved by everyone. They cultivate a few, the quiet few who can move worlds with a whisper. While the weak chase followers, the strong build alliances. One lawyer, one strategist, one confidant. That's all it takes to become untouchable. Here's the bitter truth. The crowd cheers because it needs you. The circle protects because it understands you. And that difference between applause and allegiance decides who survives. You don't need everyone. You just need the right ones. The rest are distractions disguised as validation. Stop collecting people who clap. Start building people who stand guard. True power doesn't stand in the spotlight, it stands in the circle behind it. Protect your energy. Choose precision over popularity, because 10 voices that speak for you are worth more than 10,000 that only echo you. If this truth stings, it's because you've given loyalty to spectators. Subscribe, and let's build something smaller, smarter, stronger. Have you ever told the truth and watched it destroy you? Have you ever been honest, painfully, purely honest, only to see it used against you? You thought truth would protect you. You thought honesty would earn you respect. But all it earned you was silence, judgment, and betrayal. Here's the part they never teach you. Full truth doesn't free you, it exposes you. The more honest you are, the easier you are to wound, because the world doesn't reward transparency, it exploits it. Look around. Every leader, every CEO, every person in power, they don't tell the whole truth. They tell the useful truth, the part that guides perception without revealing weakness. They understand something most people never learn. You don't owe the world your soul to be seen as good. You've been bleeding honesty in a world that profits off mystery, and that's why you feel drained. The people who lied to you didn't win because they were smarter. They won because they controlled which part of the story was told. And that control, not the content, shaped reality. Stop thinking truth and manipulation are opposites. Truth is a tool, so is silence. Use both wisely, and you stop surviving, you start directing. You don't have to lie to be powerful. You just have to stop giving the world ammunition made of your honesty. Reveal less, mean more. Because mystery doesn't hide weakness, it protects power. If this hits something inside you, it's because you've bled for truth in a world that rewards illusion. Subscribe and learn how to speak like those who are never misunderstood. Have you ever been punished for being kind? Have you ever helped people who later used your softness as a weapon against you? You gave empathy, patience, and grace, thinking it made you noble. But deep down, you know the truth in this world. Kindness without boundaries is just bait. You've mistaken being gentle for being safe, and that's why they keep underestimating you and taking advantage of you. You've learned the hard way that people love gentle souls until those souls stop serving them. Then suddenly your kindness becomes weakness. Your silence becomes permission. Your forgiveness becomes a green light. But here's the shift. The strongest people you'll ever meet aren't cruel. They're controlled. They use gentleness strategically, not emotionally. They know when to comfort and when to cut, when to stay quiet and when to strike. They understand that softness is not surrender. It's camouflage. The world fears what it cannot read. So the moment you learn to smile while calculating to forgive, while remembering, you stop being a victim and start becoming a mystery. Stop trying to prove your strength by shouting. Let them underestimate you. Let them relax. Because mercy given by choice holds more power than vengeance born from rage. Real strength doesn't roar, it whispers. And the whisper is always more dangerous than the scream. So be kind, but be strategic. Because softness, when chosen, not demanded, is the most lethal weapon of all. If this speaks to the part of you that's tired of being the good one, stay here. Subscribe and learn the quiet art of turning empathy into control. Have you ever explained yourself so much that your voice started to sound like begging? Have you ever tried to make people understand only to realize they never wanted to listen? You talk to defend yourself, to fix, to prove your worth. But deep down, you know the truth. The more you speak, the less they hear. Because words lose power when they're used for approval. You've been conditioned to believe that communication solves everything. It doesn't. Sometimes silence says more than 1,000 explanations. Sometimes the quiet truth terrifies louder than any speech. The world doesn't reward those who talk the most, it rewards those who control the room without needing to speak. The loud demand attention, the silent command it. When you speak too soon, you reveal your fear. When you stay silent long enough, you reveal their weakness. Because silence is pressure disguised as peace, and most people crumble under pressure. They'll call you mysterious, arrogant, cold, good. Let them. Confusion is leverage, and mystery is armor. The more they guess, the less they control. You don't owe anyone your voice. You owe yourself your peace. Speak when it serves your purpose, not your insecurity. Because silence, when chosen, isn't emptiness. It's dominance. Stop trying to be understood. Start being unreadable. Because the one who can sit quietly while others panic always wins. If you've ever felt drained from explaining yourself to people who never deserved the truth, this was written for you. Subscribe and learn how silence can speak louder than every word they've ever thrown at you. Why do you stay in places that drain you? Why do you keep trying to fix people who've already decided to misunderstand you? You call it loyalty. You call it endurance. You call it faith. But if you're honest with yourself, it's fear of walking away and finding nothing waiting on the other side. You've mistaken staying for strength when in truth it's often just self-betrayal dressed as commitment. You've been taught to finish everything you start, every friendship, every job, every relationship, even when it's already finished you. But here's the secret. The powerful know, power isn't about holding on. It's about knowing when to let go. Every empire that ever rose did so because it knew when to retreat. Every general who survived 1,000 battles learned one rule. The smartest move isn't always forward. Sometimes it's sideways. Sometimes it's walking away completely. The poor cling. The powerful pivot. That's how they survive chaos and turn endings into leverage. The door you fear to close is the one that keeps you imprisoned. Freedom doesn't start with a new beginning, it starts with an ending. You choose yourself. You don't owe anyone your permanence. You only owe yourself your peace. Leaving isn't quitting. It's protecting what's left of you for what's next. Walk away before you're forced to crawl. Because those who know when to exit never have to beg for rescue. Sometimes power isn't about conquering. It's about escaping with your dignity intact. If these words feel like a mirror, it's because you've stayed too long where you were meant to pass through. Subscribe and let's learn how to leave with power, not regret. Have you ever felt invisible, like no matter what you do, no one notices? Have you ever watched louder, less capable people get the spotlight while you stay in the dark? You've wondered, what's wrong with me? Nothing is wrong with you. You're just not meant to shine where everyone can see you. Because real power doesn't need applause. It only needs control. The world is obsessed with visibility. Everyone wants followers, validation, attention. But the truth, the people pulling the strings never stand in the light. They move silently. They build quietly. And by the time the world realizes their influence, it's already too late. Every empire begins in shadow. The unseen strategist, the silent investor, the quiet observer, they don't fight for attention. They own it. The powerful don't announce what they're doing. They let results speak while everyone else chases trends and noise. You think you're being ignored, but maybe you're just in incubation preparing to rule without warning. The loud are remembered briefly, the silent are obeyed indefinitely. Obscurity isn't your punishment, it's your camouflage. Stay unseen until it's too late for them to stop you. Let them underestimate you. It's free protection. The invisible hand always moves the loudest stage. Never confuse silence with weakness or invisibility with insignificance. You're not in the shadows because you're small, you're in the shadows because that's where power learns to breathe. If these words echo something deep inside you, it's because you've always known you weren't meant to be seen. You were meant to be felt. Subscribe and learn how to rule the world they don't even know exists. Have you ever wondered why the higher you climb, the quieter it gets? Why every time you grow stronger, you lose someone you thought would stay? You told yourself success would feel fulfilling, but why does it feel so empty sometimes? You've outgrown the room, but no one claps anymore. They just stare, whisper, or quietly disappear. You thought power would give you peace. But what they never told you is that power doesn't just elevate you, it isolates you. Because once you stop needing people's approval, you also stop fitting into their comfort. The moment you decide to lead, you become a threat. The moment you demand respect, you become cold. And the moment you stop apologizing, you become selfish. But that's the price every crown cuts the one who wears it. The world worships confidence, but it punishes sovereignty. They'll tell you they want you to succeed, as long as your success doesn't make them confront their own mediocrity. You're not being rejected because you changed. You're being rejected because you stopped pretending. And that kind of honesty terrifies people who still live by permission. You'll lose people but gain peace. You'll sacrifice comfort but gain control. And one day you'll realize solitude isn't punishment, it's purification. Power always has a cost, but so does powerlessness. The difference is one leaves you alone at the top. The other leaves you invisible at the bottom. So choose your loneliness wisely. If these words sting, it's because you're already paying the price, you just haven't called it power yet. Subscribe and learn how to turn solitude into your strongest ally. Have you ever had to betray someone to protect yourself? Have you ever outgrown people you promised would stay forever? You didn't want to hurt them, but deep down you knew staying would have destroyed you. That's the silent agony of awakening, realizing that loyalty can become a leash. And when it does, cutting it isn't cruelty, it's survival. They told you betrayal is evil, but they never told you that blind loyalty kills faster. You've been taught to keep promises even when they cost you peace. But the truth, some promises aren't broken, they expire. One day you realize not every enemy stabs you in the back, some smile beside you while quietly dulling your edge. And the worst part, you let them. Because you confused guilt with goodness and history with obligation. The powerful don't stay where they're tolerated. They leave strategically, silently, and without apology. They know the difference between betrayal and evolution. Sometimes the betrayal you fear committing is the one that saves you. Sometimes the person you must betray is the weaker version of yourself. You can't rise without shedding weight. You can't stay loyal to who you were and become who you're meant to be. Some bridges aren't burned, they're simply crossed. Let them call it betrayal. Let them whisper, "You're not disloyal, you're done." Because in the game of power, even mercy has an expiration date. If this feels uncomfortably true, it's because you've reached the edge between guilt and growth. Subscribe and let's learn how to walk away without looking back. Have you ever done everything right? Built, led, sacrificed only to watch someone else get the credit? Have you ever realized that the world only applauds noise, not mastery? You've spent years proving yourself, waiting for validation that never came. But here's the secret. The powerful never confess. The throne isn't for those who crave attention. It's for those who can rule without being seen. The visible king is admired. The invisible one is obeyed. And you, the one tired of being overlooked, are standing right on the edge of that realization. The loud need acknowledgement to feel real. The silent control reality itself. Because when your influence moves through systems, not speeches, you become untouchable. They don't have to know your name to live by your design. That's the highest form of control, shaping outcomes without leaving fingerprints. Every empire has two rulers, the one in front of the curtain and the one behind it. Only one survives when the curtain falls. You thought invisibility was punishment. But invisibility is freedom, the freedom to move without opposition, to build without noise, to win without applause. Power that depends on attention dies the moment the spotlight fades. But power that thrives in silence lasts generations. The throne you seek isn't made of gold, it's made of control. You don't need a crown to rule. You just need the discipline to disappear until the world bends to your quiet command. If this message burns quietly in you, it's because you were never meant to be seen. You were meant to be felt. Subscribe and learn how to build your invisible throne. Have you ever realized that every battle you fought, every heartbreak, betrayal, loss, was shaping you into someone unrecognizable? You thought you were breaking, but you were being built. All the silence, the loneliness, the lessons that came dressed as pain, they weren't punishments. They were instructions. Because the final truth is this: power doesn't arrive. It awakens. You don't earn control by chasing it. You become powerful the day you stop needing permission to exist. That's the quiet shift no one sees when you stop reacting and start designing. You've learned the rules. You've seen how the world rewards control, not kindness. You've felt the sting of betrayal, the weight of isolation, the cost of vision. And now you understand true mastery isn't about dominating others. It's about mastering yourself. The voice that once doubted now commands. The silence that once hurt now protects. You've crossed the line from survivor to architect. You've spent your life searching for the mentor, the savior, the hero who would show you the way. But the cruelest and most beautiful truth is this: it was always you. You no longer chase fairness, approval, or validation. You move differently now, deliberate, patient, untouchable. The world doesn't have to understand you. It just has to adjust around you. The highest form of control is not commanding others, it's commanding yourself. You've seen behind the curtain. You can never go back. So stand tall, speak less, move precisely. Because from this moment forward, you don't follow the game, you are the game. If this series has awakened something inside you, stay. Subscribe and let's build the world the blind will never see.